Every sentence handed down by a federal judge carries a specific weight, and for Joan Lefcow, that burden was a constant reality. Her nameplate sat at the center of high-stakes courtrooms, where her rulings frequently made her a target for the individual she sentenced. But the morning of February 28, 2005, followed a much quieter routine. Joan's husband, Michael, was at home on crutches from a tennis injury, and her 89-year-old mother, Donna, was recovering from a recent illness. It was a relaxed, quiet domestic scene that felt entirely disconnected from the very real dangers of the federal bench. That domestic peace vanished by late afternoon. When Joan arrived home at 5:30 p.m., the house was dark and her calls went unanswered. She walked through the silent rooms, her unease growing as she realized the house was far too quiet for a Monday evening. After searching the upstairs, Joan approached the basement door. She turned on the light and saw a smear of blood on the floor at the bottom of the stairs. Panic took over. She fled the house immediately and called 911 from the safety of her car. The suspicion that a federal judge's family had been targeted triggered an immediate federal escalation. Within the very first hour, the FBI arrived to take over the investigation, recognizing that an attack on the family of a federal official was a direct assault on the judicial system itself. FBI Special Agent Doug Seacom led the team into the basement office. There, they found Michael and Donna lying in a pool of blood. Both had been killed by close-range gunshot wounds to the head. The physical evidence presented a confusing timeline. A shattered window indicated a forced entry, yet forensic reagents revealed that the killer had spent a significant amount of time after the shooting trying to scrub blood from a hallway floor. Seacom then discovered an odd detail in the utility closet near the office. A 12-pack of beer sat by the furnace, a remnant from a recent party, and exactly one bottle was missing from the cardboard case. The missing 12th bottle was sitting upright on the concrete ledge of the broken window. The killer had seemingly stopped to have a drink before exiting the house. These details suggested a messy, erratic presence. A professional assassin follows a strict timeline to minimize exposure, but this person had stayed behind to clean up and consume a beer at the scene of a double murder. Investigators began with the most logical motive: Joan's professional enemies. Her docket at the federal courthouse was a catalog of potential threats, including gang leaders and violent offenders who had received long sentences in her courtroom. The search quickly focused on Matthew Hale, a white supremacist leader who was already in prison for plotting to have Joan murdered. His followers were known for their extremism, making them the primary suspects for a retaliatory strike. The task force mobilized to monitor Hale's network. They intercepted prison phone calls and analyzed months of his outgoing mail, looking for any instructions or coded language that could link his organization to the basement in Chicago. At the same time, agents pursued a lead involving a red car spotted loitering near the Lefcow home. It seemed like a classic getaway vehicle, suggesting a coordinated team had been monitoring the house. The investigation was consumed by the high-profile nature of the victim. The logic of a grand conspiracy was so strong that it initially overshadowed the smaller, more specific details found at the scene. Within days, the high-profile leads began to collapse. The red car was identified as unrelated to the crime, and every one of Hale's prominent followers produced a verified alibi that placed them far from the Lefcow home on the day of the murders. The Joint Task Force was now 4 days into a national security investigation with no viable suspects. The grand theories had hit a dead end, leaving the agents with a cold case and an empty evidence board. 9 days after the murders, a call from the crime lab changed the direction of the case. Forensics had successfully pulled DNA and a set of fingerprints from the beer bottle left on the window ledge. The DNA matched Bart Ross, a man who didn't appear on any gang list or extremist registry. Ross was a former cancer patient who blamed Judge Lefcow for dismissing a medical malpractice lawsuit he had filed after a disfiguring surgery. This forensic evidence bypassed the speculation of the task force. The DNA linked the scene directly to a single disgruntled individual, rather than the sprawling criminal organizations the FBI had been hunting. The FBI reconstructed his movements. At 4:30 a.m., Ross entered the basement window, hiding in the utility closet to ambush Judge Lefcow. At 9 a.m., Michael opened that closet door. Caught off guard, Ross fired. Donna investigated the shot, and Ross shot her too. Ross was now standing over two bodies he had never intended to target. Shaken by the unintended violence, his focus collapsed, and he abandoned his original goal of waiting for the judge. The spatial reality of the basement forced a confrontation that transformed Ross's premeditated plan into a chaotic, failed mission. Ross spent the next several hours in a futile attempt to hide the evidence. He found bleach and a sponge, scrubbing the hallway floor in an effort to manage a scene that had spiraled far beyond his control. Before leaving, he took a bottle of beer from the closet and drank it. He set the empty bottle down on the windowsill and climbed back out the way he came, leaving his genetic profile behind on the glass. When Wisconsin police spotted Ross's van a week later, he took his own life as they approached. A detailed confession note was found inside the vehicle, confirming the FBI's forensic reconstruction. Speculation surrounding high-profile attacks often favors grand conspiracies, but Bart Ross was a solitary man, undone by his own panic and a single DNA-covered beer bottle.